Did you know that the consonants used in the spelling of the sacred name, Yahweh, are in fact the only consonants that, if correctly pronounced, do not allow you to use your tongue or close your lips? In fact, we know that the pronouncing of the sacred name was an attempt to imitate and replicate breath, that it was inhalation and exhalation. And then he began to do it into the microphone. And in a few minutes, tears started being audible in the room, in a room of PhDs.
After Richard Rohr's insightful reflection on the holy breath inherent in the name of Yahweh, we're not poised to link this revelation with ancient wisdom spanning across continents and epochs. The concept of sacred breath is not bound by any single tradition. It's a profound commonality that resonates through Egyptian, Chinese, and Hindu teachings alike. We're on the cusp of delving into this profound secret, a secret that these ancient cultures not only understood, but centered their lives around. What we're about to explore isn't mere historical footnotes. It's the living essence of a knowledge that holds the key to spiritual mastery. By grasping this, we unlock the potential to direct energy consciously, to give true power to our words, turning prayers and affirmations into effective instruments of transformation. In the moments to come, we will uncover the legacy of precise instruction they left us with, but to harness it, we must pay close attention. Let's begin.
I now give this to every crowd I can because it can change your life. It can change your life. If I would come back here a year from tonight, and if some of you hold on to this and begin to live it and to experience it and to practice it, your prayer life will dramatically change.
In the times of old Egypt, breathing was more than just taking air in and out. It was seen as a crucial part of living, an essential piece of the human spirit, referred to as Ka. This breath wasn't just for staying alive, but also for maintaining a connection to life after death, a permanent bond from this world to the next. People would take great care to keep the Ka by following specific customs, especially when preparing the dead for their next life, such as in mummification. This custom was aimed less at keeping the body from decaying and more at making sure the spirit could keep moving in the world beyond. Ancient writings and scrolls, like the famous Egyptian Book of the Dead, provided the dead with spells and advice for their journey. As the spirit moved through the underworld, it was the Ka, the breath, that pushed it towards the final judgment. Hand in hand with keeping the breath was fostering truth and order, both during life and after death. People believed that living in balance would ensure a smooth journey for the Ka. Breathing was linked with living rightly. Every breath was seen as harmonizing with the universe's natural order. Moving to the sacred name of Yahweh, there's a connection with the Egyptian respect for breathing. The Hebrew name for God, Yahweh, made up of unspoken sounds, seems similar to the sound of breathing itself. This unspoken aspect leads us to the Gnostic writings, where the divine part within was often talked about quietly or through the idea of breath. Gnostics believed this inner part was a piece of the divine, using breath as a picture of the indescribable spirit within each person. The practice of quiet reflection was a way to focus on this inner breath and search for divine understanding. As Gnostics sought the faint sound of the divine within, they saw God's name not just as a title, but as a living, vibrating power, a reflection of the creative breath that brought everything into existence. Achieving silence was like tuning into the universe's breath, matching one's own inner pace with the beat of all things. The story then takes us to the deserts where Jewish Christian spirituality grew. Here, Yahweh's name, revealed to Moses, was more than just a name. It was insight into the universe. Kabbalistic teachings later saw the letters of Yahweh's name as channels for divine energy. Each spoken sound, each breath that formed these letters was a way to connect with the holy, a thread linking the everyday to the divine.
But notice, it has nothing to do with thinking. In fact, it moves the entire experience to the cellular body, corporeal breath level. And it means, wonder of wonders, that the first word you ever spoke when you came out of your mother's womb was the name of God. And the last word you'll ever speak, you don't have to try to remember, do I want to say a prayer before I die? You're going to anyway. That last breath you take on your deathbed will be the name of God. And it's the one thing you've done constantly. You just did it now. And you did it again. You're breathing. And you know what? There's not a Catholic way of breathing and an Anglican way of breathing. There's not a Protestant way of breathing. There's not an American way of breathing. There's not an English way of breathing. There's not a Buddhist way of breathing. There's not a Hindu way of breathing. There's not a Muslim way of breathing. We're all doing this together. And this wonderful God has made the God Self that available, that democratic, that accessible. The gift is given. The only problem is the gift is not being received. We've made religion into a series of moral achievement contests. We've made religion into a bunch of hoops that you got to jump and about a bunch of forms that you've got to bow down before, instead of leading people to know something to be true for themselves.
As each tradition unfolds, we see different views of this spiritual idea, whether it's the Ka traveling through the afterlife, the Gnostic's quiet search for truth, or the Kabbalist's breath as a way to unlock the secrets of creation. Our journey through breath goes from the Nile's shores to the dry Sinai sands and into the private meetings of Gnostic followers. It's a trip that shows the power of breath as both a life force and a spiritual sign through time and different ways of belief. The tale isn't a straight line, but a twisting path in and out, showing how old cultures dealt with what's unseen and everlasting, with each part of our journey showing a different side of this fascinating spiritual quest. As we pass through these different realms of faith and custom, we're not just following the paths of ancient spiritual searchers, we're also rekindling a universal understanding that connects us through time, a shared breath, a mutual whisper, in the constant conversation between humans and the divine. Diving into the mystical heart of ancient Greece, the Delphi Oracle serves as a proof of the search for divine wisdom. Located on Mount Parnassus, the site was where the Pythia, the priestess, would communicate with Apollo, the god of prophecy. The Pythia would enter a mysterious trance by breathing in gases that came from the ground beneath the temple. As these fumes enveloped her, they caused a deep change, giving her visions that influenced Greek society. Here, breathing was more than just a physical act. It was a way to receive messages from the gods. This event is similar to the concept of divine breath in spiritual practices. Like the Pythia breathed to hear Apollo's messages, spiritual paths also see breath as a way to take in the more subtle aspects of life and knowledge. The Delphi stories are about the universal aim to rise above the ordinary through breath, where each breath draws people closer to the divine. Moving on from Delphi, we find the ancient Indian texts, the Vedas, and Upanishads. Here, prana is seen as the vital force in every being, a power both inside and all around us. The ancient Indian wise people saw prana as the universe's breath, a vital force bringing all life to motion. In the writings of ancient India, breathing is not just a bodily function, but a vibrant part of being alive. Pranayama, the art of controlling breath, is not only a way to work with this life energy, but also a practice of tuning in with the universe's rhythms. The ancients thought that by managing breath, one could reach a state of harmony and unity with the universe's natural patterns, reflecting the belief that breath is a connector between the physical and the spiritual. Each breath in pranayama is filled with purpose, a conscious blend with the prana that fills everything. This synchronization is about more than just personal well-being or inner calm. It's reenacting the universe's cycle of creation, upkeep, and renewal, a living symbol of life. Traversing through these beliefs, we come upon the Chinese concept of qi. In Taoist thinking, reflected in the Tao Te Ching, qi is the essential energy filling the universe, much like prana. Taoists consider breathing as a way to adjust qi, the method by which the body matches the Tao or the Wei. Ancient Chinese alchemy, deeply rooted in Taoist ideas, tried to improve and circulate this qi in the body, aiming not only for a longer life, but also for spiritual enlightenment. Qi moves through paths in the body, resembling the flow of rivers and trails in nature. By managing breath, Taoists work to guide this energy, to clear any blockages, and to enrich the body's inner landscape. The practice of Qigong, which combines movement with controlled breathing, is proof of the belief in breath as the sustainer of life and a bringer of wisdom. The journey from the oracle's holy fumes to the measured breaths of pranayama and the nurturing of qi ties together different cultures and times. Each method, each system of belief, reflects the timeless human quest to grasp the breath of life that sustains us all. It's a journey that highlights breath as a powerful symbol of our link to the world and the forces behind it. As we explore these varied practices, we discover a patchwork of beliefs, each showing a new side of how we connect with the energies that bring life to being. The narrative is a study of breath not just as something we need to live, but as a spiritual tool, a means by which humanity has tried to go beyond the body's limits and reach the divine essence. Each tradition, each approach is a talk with the cosmos, a try to interpret the murmurs of the energy of life that flows within and around us. Following the path from Delphi's mystical gases through the affirming insights of the Vedas to the balancing movement of qi, we're reminded that breath is the common tongue of the spirit, a language spoken by the oracles, wise ones, and those who sought to join human with divine. The Bible is rich with proverbs and verses that echo this sentiment. Am I a God at hand, declares the Lord, and not a God far away? Can a man hide himself in secret places so that I cannot see him, declares the Lord? Do I not fill heaven and earth, declares the Lord? Jeremiah 23, 23-24 ESV. This verse paints a picture of a God who is not distant but intimately woven into the fabric of existence, present in the expanse of the cosmos and the minutiae of daily life. Another poignant verse, for in him we live and move and have our being, Acts 17:28, speaks to the omnipresence and immanence of God. We're not just creations placed into a world that is separate from the Creator, rather, we exist within the very life of God. For every movement, every breath is suffused with the divine presence. And so, as we reflect on the spiritual practices that focus on breath, we understand that they are more than exercises in mindfulness or wellness. They are acts of communion with the divine. Each inhalation is a silent acknowledgement of God's proximity, and every exhalation is a release into the divine embrace. This realization gives new depth to the practice of prayer and affirmations. When we speak, meditate, or pray, we're not sending our voices into a void, hoping to be heard. We are participating in an ongoing dialogue with the divine essence that surrounds and fills us. The effectiveness of prayer and positive affirmation lies not in the volume of our words, but in the quiet recognition of our unity with God. It is said, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." Psalm 19:1. In every sunrise, every starlit sky, every breath of wind that brushes against our skin, there is a silent proclamation of the divine presence. God is not confined to grand declarations or miraculous events. He's equally present in the ordinary, the everyday, the simple act of breathing. The ancient wisdom that connects us through breath to the divine reflects a profound truth. God is not merely an external deity to be worshipped, but an omnipresent spirit to be experienced. God is in the rising sun, the phases of the moon, the ebb and flow of tides, and the life force within us. As we navigate the complexities of our lives, let us remember that in every moment, with every breath, we are enveloped in the divine. The spiritual journey, then, is not a search for a distant God, but an awakening to the divine reality that pervades all things. This omnipresence is a comforting assurance, a constant invitation to see, feel, and acknowledge that God is indeed in everything, and through this recognition, find peace in the unity of all existence.
But I don't want you to leave here tonight agreeing with me or disagreeing with me, liking me or disliking me. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I want you to know something for yourself. So, for 10 minutes, we're going to sit in silence together. The most innocent thing in the world, and yet for many people, the most difficult thing in the world. It's so easy that it's hard to teach. Now, contemplation, second stage, is telling you what to do with your mind. And all I can say, because we don't have that much time tonight, is you just have to practice letting go. Letting go. Not identifying with it, not feeding it. Inside of every person, there's a great lover and there's a great wolf. And the one that grows is the one that you feed. If you keep feeding the wolf with negative, blaming, accusing, paranoid, accusational thoughts, your wolf will grow. If you keep feeding the lover by letting go of the wolf, largely because the lover is already there, it's called the indwelling Holy Spirit that has been given equally to all of you. And the only difference is the degree you have learned to draw from it. That's all. And that's what we're doing. So we're going to practice for about 10 minutes, just letting go of obsessive thoughts, compulsive emotions, and each time one comes and wants to grab you, just say, don't need that, don't need that. Knew who I was before that came along. I can know who I am after. It's going to be scary because a lot of us think we are our thoughts. So let me lead you into it with a psalm verse. And I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. And then we'll sit for 10 minutes knowing that someone else is going to teach us and guide us during that time. So repeat after me. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Slowly come out of the silence without losing the silence. Some have said silence is the language of God, and everything else is a poor translation. And some of you might be thinking, watch that thinking, that, well, this isn't prayer, is it? Let me put it this way, that if God wants to get through to you, God has a much better chance of doing it at that point. Because finally, you are out of the way with your agenda and your conclusions and your judgments. And when you're out of the way, God can do God's work.